Today, UFC 300 rapidly approaches this Saturday, and in honor of that, I will take a drink of the official UFC 300 Prime. Ooh, that tastes like tears and despair. Ooh, that tastes like a company that just won a class action lawsuit or made it go away. All of this and more on the action packed UFC 300 episode of Matter of Fact MMA. What's up? What's happening? Let's go. What's up, guys? We right back at it, right back with it. It's your boy Matt. I'm out here with the UFC 300 Prime in honor of UFC 300. It's still nasty. Nevertheless, I might drop dead by the end of this video after just taking a few swigs of this. Nevertheless, we back in it. It's UFC 300 week, and today we're going to be going over we're going to be previewing, I'm giving predictions of the UFC 300 card. So let's start. I'm already trying to stop it. That's how that prime hit you. That prime already eating a hole in my brain. Nevertheless, let's start with the main event where Alex Pereira will step in the octagon with the former champion Jamal Hill and attempt to defend his light heavyweight championship of the world. So, I'm not going to hold y'all long because this is a huge card, so we got a lot to go over. Kicking off with the main event, man, I've really struggled over, about the last month or so that this fight has been announced, maybe a little bit more, as to who I thought was going to win, because I had completely been on the side of, if you would have asked me a year ago, around that, between who's going to win between Alex Pereira and Jamal Hill in this weight class, I might have went Jamal Hill. I might have went Alex Pereira. A lot of things are up in the air with this. With that being said, at this point in time, I know pretty much everybody is picking Alex Pereira, I believe, for the most part. And I'm going to go along with the majority of the folk out there. But I will say, even though I'm picking Alex Pereira to win this fight, I might have a different set of reasons than other people are using, because in my opinion, I do think Jamal Hill is an extremely skilled fighter. And when you're watching his content on YouTube, or you see his interview with Joe Rogan, you really get a feel for, despite how he might communicate it, homie's really got a mind for the fight game, and he has a mind for fight styles and fight strategy, so I will give him his props on all of that. With that being said, as I take a look at my notes, my nizzos, in this, I think the best offense is activity, and that is in the favor of Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira has been active. Alex Pereira has main evented Madison Square Gardens. Alex Pereira has been out there in all of the bright lights. He's been out there when all the chips are down, and he's been making it happen. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the man had to step in with Jan, in Utah. He couldn't breathe. His lungs fell out. You know what I'm saying? We talking about above sea level. So, and then he goes out there with Yuri, and granted, he was losing the early part of that fight, definitely the first round, but Alex Pereira was not down. He was not out. He goes on to pull it out at the end. Now, I know there's been an argument of, if it was an early stoppage, it don't matter. He's still the champ. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go along with Alex Pereira simply because of two reasons. He's had an active schedule. Jamal Hill has been out for a long time now after he ruptured his Achilles tendon. And with that being said, let's take the injury out. Anytime you have someone that misses a ton of time against someone that has been active and has had a really strong active schedule as far as the opponents that he's faced, man, a lot of the time you got to lean with that fighter. Now, with the fact that Jamal Hill is coming out here with a ruptured Achilles tendon, or recovered from a ruptured Achilles tendon. I'm not sure if I'm not going to lean on he's being rushed back. I'm not sure if this rushed his timeline as to when he thought he was going to return. I'm not sure of any of that. What I do know is when you step into an octagon with a savage like Alex Pereira, who's going to be giving you those nonchalant leg kicks. And when I say nonchalant, they nonchalant for Alex Pereira. Homie's fighting stance looks like there's no telegraph. You have no way of knowing he about to throw the leg kick. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got no idea of even knowing that. With that being said, when that thing thuds up against your calf, you know what I'm saying? Thuds up against your upper thigh, and he might be targeting his leg kick slightly lower to try to do some damage around the Achilles area. If there's such a way to throw a leg kick like that, Alex Pereira's going to find a way to do it. That's all I'm saying. So with all of that being said, given the fact that I don't know if homie's coming in here rushed after his injury, I'm not sure if homie's coming in here a lot sooner than his original return timeline. I'm not sure of any of that. All I know is when you're stepping in the octagon with Poatan Alex Pereira, it's probably not best to be rushed back from a ruptured Achilles tendon. It's not the best thing to go in there with a man that has no telegraph on his leg kicks. And he's a professional leg kicker. He's top tier leg kicker. You know what I'm saying? And he's had a strong strength of schedule. He's been in the octagon quite a bit since you've been in the octagon. So with that being said, I'm going along with Poatan Alex Pereira. However, those are my two reasons. I know a lot of people might not see the skills and the abilities that Jamal Hill has. I believe he definitely has all the abilities and the skills to beat Alex Pereira. But given this circumstance, I'm choosing Alex Pereira to go out there and get the win. Now, in the co-main event, we have Zhang Weili, or Weili Zhang, stepping in the octagon with Yang Xiaonan. Bro, I'm going along with Weili to go out there and get the win. That's probably not a far-fetched. Of course, she's definitely the favorite going into the fight. But in my opinion, Zhang Weili is just plain and simply the more well-rounded fighter. After her training camps that she did with Henry Cejudo, she really stepped up her wrestling, period. Her offensive wrestling is outstanding. Her defensive wrestling, her takedown defense, all of that, her scrambles, all of that is on another level after the training camp or training camps that she did with Captain Eric as well as Henry Cejudo. And that's more recent. Zhang Weili has been out there doing women dirty for a long time in the octagon. I mean, this woman is a savage. The strength, the way she imposes herself physically on these women, her striking, she rarely gets tired, rarely gasses out, and and honestly, she might never have outside of that outstanding fight with future Hall of Famer, the Boogie Woman. You know what I'm saying? Joanna Young Jacek. With that being said, man, Zhang Weili goes out there. She puts a pace on women physically that, not even a cardio pace, just a physical grinding style, whether she chooses to stand with them and keep spamming combinations, whether she decides to take you to the ground and just smother you. Either way, Zhang Weili goes out there and she does damage. Now, I'm not disparaging her opponent in any way. I mean, Yan is definitely a really good fighter. But I just don't feel that she possesses the skills that Zhang Weili has. So with that, I'm going to go along with Zhang Weili. As well as when you look at Yan is only on the 2-fight winning streak to get this title shot. And I mean, the last two people she defeated is Jessica Andrade and Mackenzie Dern. So I wouldn't label that as the same schedule that, Zhang Weili has had. Now, I know Zhang Weili, she went out there and demolished Carla Esparza to get the belt, Carla Esparza. So, I mean, that is what it is. But, I just don't, as up to this point, what I've seen so far, I don't feel like Yan has the same skill set as Zhang Wei Li and has the skill set to put her away. Now, she might have developed these skills and we haven't seen it yet. I don't know. But I'm going along with Wei Li to get the win. So that's that. Moving on. We have Justin Gaethje stepping in the octagon to defend the BMF championship against Max Holloway. This is shocking for a lot of people, probably. I'm not sure. I mean, Justin Gaethje is still definitely the betting favorite. DraftKings, holla at me, holla at me, holla at me, holla at me. Get that matter of fact MMA in your life. You know what I'm talking about? Nevertheless, man, on this, I'm actually going with the underdog pick. I'm going along with Max Holloway. Now, with that being said, man, sometimes when you're making MMA predictions, because MMA is a crazy sport and you can analyze all the tape in the world, you can go over it backwards and forwards and you can whatever. A lot of the times MMA is a sport that there's so many other factors outside of the actual fight itself that it becomes hard to make these picks. And sometimes, bro, outside of that, you gotta go with the vibes. And for me, in my house, the vibes are with Max Holloway. You know what I'm saying? Also, I'm a tremendous Max Holloway fan. I'm a Justin Gaethje fan as well. But my ties to Max Holloway, the best is blessed. Go back a lot further than right now. A lot further, I should say, than Justin Gaethje. I'm going along with Max Holloway to go out there and get the win. You know what I'm saying? Max Holloway so far is still showing that he's still got that goat chin, that granite chin. Now, of course, Justin Gaethje, a chin finder. He'll find your chin and he'll put you down. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying a whole lot because this could be the fight that Holloway's chin leaves him, goes out the door, down the sidewalk, down the street, around the corner, and goes on to the next up-and-coming fighter. But until I see it for right now, Max Holloway, he still got a chin. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going along with Max Holloway to go out there and get the win. And I know we saw the career-ending fight that Justin Gaethje put on Tony Ferguson, right? We saw the devastation that Justin Gaethje did against Rafael Fiziev. I know. Granted, a lot of people felt that fight could have went the other way. I scored it for Justin Gaethje, but we know, you know what I'm saying, Fiziev ain't been the same since. His whole leg fell off in his last fight with Gamrot. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of is what it is. I know we saw Justin Gaethje go out there and make it look like he took the soul of Dustin Poirier, but the diamond is back. You know what I'm saying? But with all of that being said, bro, I'm still going to go along with Max Holloway because I feel that at times with Justin Gaethje, there is a little bit, just a tinge of not performing the best when all the chips are down and everything is completely on the line. When Justin Gaethje can go into a fight and there's not a ton at stake, he does really well. But when he goes into a fight where everything is on the line, at times, as we've seen when he fought Charles Oliveira, as we saw when, as we seen in his fight with Khabib, at times, Justin Gaethje might not perform. And with that being said, going into this fight, it's all on the line for Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje probably was next in line to get a title shot. Now he might have gotten passed up by Dustin Poirier, who is a man that he beat. You know what I'm saying? He beat him. You know what I'm talking about? With that being said, bro, I just feel like at times Justin Gaethje, he doesn't, in some fights, not a huge resume of that, but at times when all the chips are down, he doesn't perform. And looking at this, I mean, homie was due to get the next title shot. He's going in there with Max. Even if he goes out there and demolishes Max, 9 times out of 10, Dustin is getting the next shot against Islam Makhachev for the lightweight championship. Now there is a world that if Justin Gaethje goes out there and just literally shows that the chin has left the Bless Holloway home, if he show and goes out there and knocks Max out and knocks him out quickly or easily, then there's definitely a world where Justin will skip Dustin and go in there and get the fight against Islam Makhachev. But I have a feeling that that's not going to be the case. I feel that if Justin can definitely beat Max by stoppage, no doubt about it. He can beat him by stoppage. He could knock him out, but I don't see any of that happening until we get closer toward the last round of the fight. So with that being said, I'm still going to lean toward Max Holloway. I don't have a lot to support my leaning towards Max Holloway besides it being a vibes pick, but sometimes you got to go with the vibes. I'm going to go along with Max Holloway to go out there and get the win against Justin Gaethje. I mean, at this point, Max is playing with house money. You know what I'm saying? If he goes out there, if he has a good showing against Justin Gaethje, no harm, no foul, he can still get his next fight at 155 pounds, or he can drop back down to featherweight. If he goes out there and beats Justin Gaethje, he can write his check. You know what I'm saying? He can write his ticket. You know what I'm saying? He ain't going to get the next shot against Islam Makhachev, but he's right there. He's literally right there. And who knows, if he goes out there and knocks out Justin Gaethje, which I know that's unheard of, or he goes out there and gets a quick, impressive stoppage, he might leapfrog Dustin. Although I think off of Dustin's last performance right now, especially because they're talking about each other on Twitter, I'd say Dustin is going to face Islam Makhachev. But we will see. I'm going along with Max Bless Holloway to go out there, get the win, and become the new BMF champion of the world. You know what I'm saying? And who knows where he goes from there. Anyway, let's move on. Next fight, we have Charles Oliveira, Charlie Olives, my guy, stepping in there with Arman Tsarukyan. Another underdog pick. I'm going along with Charles Oliveira. I'm going along with Charles Oliveira because Charles Oliveira lives in the chaos. You know what I'm saying? Charles Oliveira lives in the fire. He's just a different type of cat. You know what I'm saying? And, Arman is usually a really schooled fighter, usually goes out there with a really good game plan. He generally goes out there, implements it, and does his thing. You know what I'm saying? So taking nothing away from him, and he's an outstanding fighter. But with that being said, dude, there's just something about Charles Oliveira. And when he goes in there with these really strategic fighters who have game planned and prepped, and they're solid, they're ready to go in there and do their thing, you can't predict the chaos that is Charles Oliveira. You just can't. You just don't know what this man is going to do. This man can go out there and almost get finished, be knocked out, but maybe the referee doesn't stop the fight. Charles can hang in there and go out there and knock out his opponent in the second round. You know what I'm saying? A few mistakes on the ground by Arman, which I know he rarely makes any mistakes as far as his wrestling or his scrambling. We haven't really seen him matched in that realm except for his fight with Mateus Gamrot. Outside of that, he's generally completely schooled, solid on the ground. That's his bread and butter, so to speak. But with that being said, man, there's just a chaos factor about Charles Oliveira that is hard to game plan for. At times, Charles Oliveira will make clear mistakes. As a fan watching, you're like, you're losing it. You're like, why is he doing this? What is Charles doing? You know what I'm saying? And then it always ends up working out because Charles Oliveira is just cut from a different cloth. I'm going to coin that term. I would just call him a chaos fighter. He's just a fighter that thrives in that chaos. You go in trying to give Charles Oliveira a strict game plan that he has to abide by, that he has to follow. You might be looking for Charles Oliveira to go out there and get knocked out or submitted. But when Charles Oliveira goes out there and implements that chaos factor, which he's known to do in some of his best wins, it's hard to say. I know smart money would be on Tsarukyan to go out there and get the win, but maybe I got a little ducats. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I got a few coins and I'm not looking for smart money. So for this, I'm going along with Charles Oliveira to get the win. Next, we got Bo Nickel stepping in the octagon with Cody Brundage. I got Bo Nickel. Next, we have Yuri Prohaska, the former light heavyweight champion of the world, stepping in there with a returning Alexander Rakic. You know, this is a huge fight. Huge fight. Major title implications on this one. Looking at it currently right now, per DraftKings, Yuri is the underdog. I'm going along with another underdog pick. I'm going along with Yuri Prohaska to go out there and get the win. In somewhat of a similar fashion of how I just predicted Charles Oliveira. When I look at Alexander Rakic, I mean, he's definitely a really good fighter, but more importantly, he's a well-schooled fighter. He goes in there, he has a really solid game plan. You can tell he's prepped well by his camp, by his coaches, and he's always on point. He's always ready. You know what I'm saying? Outside of his, freak knee injury, I believe is what it was. I mean, the man has done his thing in the octagon. With that being said, I'm still going along with Yuri Prohaska to go out there and get the win. I wouldn't quite label him a chaos fighter, but very similar. But based out of what I saw in his last fight with Alex Pereira, Yuri was lighting Alex Pereira up in the first round. Mainly because he's coming at Pereira with these angles that I don't think Pereira was ready for. And I mean, Pereira is as schooled as it gets as a kickboxer, you know what I'm saying? And he just didn't seem like he seemed he was having a tough time adjusting to the angles that Yuri was throwing his strikes from, because Yuri keeps his hands down low, like at waist level. You know what I'm saying? His fists are almost below his waist. And he relies more on his quick head movement, you know what I'm saying, to dodge the shots. And once the shot is dodged, he's shooting almost from the hip with his strikes, with his punches, sometimes elbows. It's a really, really unique style. And I know that you can game plan for that. You can watch all the tape you want on it. Because by now, I mean, there's a decent amount of tape, especially if you go back, watch Yuri, over in Ryzen. You go back to his kickboxing career as well. But still, it's just a whole different game, you know what I'm saying? And Yuri showed that he can do a little bit of grappling if he needs to. Yeah, he showed that in the Alex Pereira fight, but we all know the damage, the pace that he put on Glover Teixeira is on a whole other level, you know what I'm saying? Even though Teixeira was cruising to get a win there. Nevertheless, man, I'm going to go along with Yuri Prohaska to go out there and get the win, because I feel like he might be able to catch Rakic with some shots that Rakic might not see coming due to the style in which Yuri throws his punches. So I'm going along with Yuri Prohaska to get the win. That's probably an unpopular pick, maybe. I'm not sure, just judging by the betting lines, but that's who I'm choosing. Next, we got Calvin Kattar welcoming Aljamain Sterling to the featherweight division. I'm going along with Aljamain Sterling to get the win. No shade, no disrespect to Calvin Kattar, outstanding fighter, tremendous fighter, but I sound like Floyd Mayweather. With that being said, dude, I got to go along with Aljamain. I just think that there are featherweights that I would definitely choose Aljamain to get faded against. There's quite a few featherweights that I think Aljamain loses to. If what he looks like at featherweight is what I think he's going to look like at featherweight. With that being said, though, Calvin Kattar's not one of those guys. And I think that Aljamain's going to be able to go out there, impose his will on Calvin Kattar. I know he's moving up a weight division, but if you see Aljamain Sterling outside of weight camps, the dude is always huge. You know what I'm saying? Pause. So I'm going along with Aljamain Sterling to go out there and get the win. I think he imposes his wrestling on Calvin Kattar. I'm not sure how Calvin Kattar is going to look after that devastating leg injury and 2 surgeries later. So with that being said, I got Aljo to go out there and get the win. Next, we have Holly Holmes stepping in the octagon, welcoming PFL. How many times are you going to say this when you're talking about a UFC broadcast? Welcoming PFL superstar Kayla Harrison. Man, I'm going along with Kayla Harrison. I mean, I'm sure that's not a hot take at all. I'm going along with Kayla Harrison to get the win simply because Holly Holmes' last few fights, she hasn't looked like Holly Holmes at all. And I know, nothing compares to the Holly Holmes when she was on her run and she beat Ronda. As far as, no Holly Holmes compares to that Holly Holmes. But there was a time period a few years ago where Holly Holmes was doing her thing. She started implementing a whole lot of wrestling, cage grappling, and really would hold a lot of women down and cruise to a 3 round decision, or if she was main event, 5 round decision. With that being said, her last 2 fights, Holly Holmes to me looks like she's faded. Looks like age has caught up to her. Maybe injuries have caught up to her. So with that being said, I'm going along with Kayla Harrison to go out there and get a win. You know what I'm saying? Kayla Harrison, you can say a lot of things maybe about her stand up, about her gas tank, but one thing you can't really question is this woman is a competitor, you know what I'm saying? Gold medalist in the Olympics. And by far outside of that, she's got that dog in her. She's a competitor. She wants to win. I think she sees the clear path to a 135-pound championship. She's going to go out there, do work against Holly Holmes. That's just one thing you can't question about Kayla Harrison. She's got that dog in her. She's definitely going in there to pull out a win. And you know what I'm saying? I think she clearly sees the path to a 135-pound championship. And I think she goes out there, does work against Holly Holmes, and goes out there to face the winner of Juliana Pena and Raquel Pennington for the 135-pound championship. So whoever wins that fight, I think as long as Kayla goes out here and does her thing against Holly, that's who they're facing. So that's what it is. I don't know. Ain't a lot more, much more to say about that. Let's move on. We have Sadiq Youssef stepping in there with Diego Lopez. I'm a huge Diego Lopez fan. I got Diego Lopez all day. Outstanding. One of the top prospects in the featherweight division. So I got him to get the win. Moving on, we got Jalen Turner stepping in there with Money Moicano, Hanato Moicano. Man, I'm going along with Jalen Turner. I'm going along with Jalen Turner. I think Jalen Turner is out here to bounce back. I got Jalen Turner, man. He went out there, he did his thing against Bobby Green. You know what I'm saying? I think he's ready as long as he conquers his issues with the scale. I think he's definitely going to be a good prospect in the lightweight division. And I think that Hoinato Moicano, Money Moicano, I think, man, he takes a lot of shots. He takes a lot of damage, man, in each one of his fights. And Jalen Turner's not the type of dude that you want to be slacking off on your defensive skills. He's not the dude. He's not the dude you want to go in the octagon with and you be loose on taking shots and taking damage. You know what I'm saying? So I got Jalen Turner to go out there and get the win. Shout out to Money Moricano, though. Love his content, love his channel. He's an awesome dude. So shout out to him. But I got Jalen Turner in this fight. Next, we got Bobby Green stepping in there with Jim Mother effing Miller, bro. Jim Miller made it to UFC 300. I'm a huge Bobby Green fan. I generally always pick Bobby Green, but bro, you can't go against Jim Miller. You can't go against the homie that was at UFC 100, 200, and now 300. I can't go against that. That's history. That's history. You know what I'm saying? I can't go against Jim Miller. Shout out to Bobby Green, King Bobby Green. You know what I'm saying? But I'm sorry, I gotta pick Jim Miller, dog. It's 3 UFC 100 strong. You know what I'm saying? It's UFC 300. I gotta choose Jim Miller. Shout out to him. And finally, opening the card, we have former flyweight champion of the world, Davison Figueiredo, two-time, I believe, two-time flyweight champion of the world. Stepping in there with former bantamweight champion of the world, Cody Garbrandt. Straight up, I got Davison Figueiredo. Now, everything about this fight says Davison Figueiredo should go out there and get the win. He should go out there and find Cody Garbrandt's chin, which, it's no secret. Cody Garbrandt's chin left him in the middle of the night, just left him there looking silly to raise the children alone. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, Cody Garbrandt's chin is out in the clubs. Cody Garbrandt's chin got a new boo. He's doing his thing. He ain't worried about Cody Garbrandt. You know what I'm talking about? With that being said, man, Davison Figueiredo all day. But this would not shock me if this is the one fight pick that we're all making, you know, in the MMA YouTube space, where most of all of us are picking Davison Figueiredo, and this wouldn't shock me if Cody Garbrandt goes out there and shocks the world, you know, because Cody Garbrandt got fast hands. He's got devastating boxing, really sharp boxing. This wouldn't shock me if this was the one fight that everybody gets wrong on podcasts and MMA, YouTube, everywhere. But I still got to go with Davison Figueiredo. You know what I'm talking about? Because Cody Garbrandt's chin left him high and dry. You know what I'm saying? Didn't pay alimony. Didn't leave him nothing. Just dipped on him. You know what I'm talking about? So that's what it is. It's UFC 300. It goes down this Saturday night. It's the card we all been waiting for. We all been waiting on. Yeah, I know there was a card that went on last weekend, but I'm not even really worried about that right now. Maybe I do another video in a day or two to tell y'all who won those fights. But man, look, we talking about UFC 300. You know what I'm talking about? Nevertheless, please like, subscribe, comment. Please let me know who your picks are for UFC 300. You know, I want to know who all of y'all are picking to win these different fights. Because, you know, if some of y'all come with some good explanations, I might switch over to your pick and go out there and try my way. Try to have my way with DraftKings. You know what I'm talking about? Nevertheless, I appreciate you guys for watching these videos. Thank you for all the positive feedback I get in the emails. And I do want to thank you for joining me for another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. And I'll check you next time. Peace.